Why errors are development signals. Building on what we've covered, remember Video Zero's framework about applying principles to your situation. Today's concept is crucial. Mistakes are development signals, not problems to avoid. Your reaction to your child's errors significantly impacts their development, their confidence, and their ability to learn. Here's what many parents do without realizing it. They see their child make a mistake and they get visibly disappointed, or immediately try to correct it, or reassure in a way that actually signals the mistake was bigger than it should be. All of these responses send the same message. Mistakes are problems to be avoided. But here's what's actually true. Mistakes are development signals. They're not problems, they're information. When your child makes an error, their brain is getting immediate feedback about what works and what doesn't. This feedback is essential for learning. Without mistakes, without that error correction process, neural pathways don't strengthen properly. Think about how anyone learns anything. You try something, you get feedback about whether it worked. You adjust, you try again. The feedback comes from errors, from the gap between what you intended and what actually happened. So when your child makes a mistake, here's what's actually happening. Their brain is receiving data. Their nervous system is making adjustments. They're in the process of learning. The mistake isn't a sign that something's wrong, it's a sign that learning is happening. But here's where you can either support or interfere with that process. If your child makes a mistake and you react with disappointment, frustration, or criticism, you add an emotional layer that interferes with learning. Now, they're not just processing the error, they're also managing anxiety about disappointing you. If you immediately jump in to correct or explain what they should have done, you're short-circuiting their learning process. You're giving them the answer instead of letting them figure it out. Think back to what we discussed about confidence, Video 3, how it develops through mastery experiences, not through praise. The same principle applies to mistakes. Your child builds confidence by working through errors, not by having you rescue them from errors. So what should you do instead? Help your child understand that errors are a natural and necessary part of learning. The best athletes make mistakes constantly. They just process them effectively. I noticed you tried something new and it didn't work. That's how learning happens. Or, making mistakes is part of getting better. What did you notice? Help them develop a curious, analytical relationship with mistakes rather than an emotional, judgmental one. Instead of, "Why did you do that?" Try, "What do you think happened there?" Instead of, "You need to fix that," try, "What might you try differently next time?" Be patient with repeated mistakes. When your child makes the same error multiple times, that's not a sign they're not trying. That's a sign the skill is still developing. Motor learning takes time and repetition. Getting frustrated with repeated errors just adds pressure and anxiety, which actually slows learning. Better approach? I know you're working on that. Keep at it. It'll click. And distinguish between effort issues and learning mistakes. It's appropriate to address effort. But making mistakes while trying hard is completely different and should be treated as valuable learning. Tune in for Part 2, where we'll talk about what your emotional reactions are teaching them and why creating a mistake-friendly environment is one of the most important things you can do for their development.